All right, Agape City Church, how we doing on a sunny Sunday morning? I don't even need it to be warm. I just need to see the sun, and I'm good. I'm so glad you're here this Sunday. It is Super Bowl Sunday. I don't know if I'm getting old or if I'm just busy, but I literally forgot it's Super Bowl week. And my mom was like, so who you got in the Super Bowl? I'm like, that's this week, right? Yeah. I'm like, who's playing right now? And I literally lost in the sauce. But it is Super Bowl Sunday. Hopefully you're going to have a great day today. But we're not talking about football at all. We're in the second week of the series that we're calling Song of Songs. And that's not an original title. That's the name of a book in the Bible. And if you have a Bible with you or a Bible app on your phone, you can go ahead and open it up to the book of Song of Songs. It's probably smack dab in the middle, a little bit to your right, if you have a physical Bible, or you can just type in Song of Songs there. We'll be in the first chapter is where we're going to be. But this book is it's part of our Holy Scriptures, but this book was a key part of Hebrew culture for centuries. This book actually was off limits to young men and women until they had their bar mitzvah or bat mitzvah. So until they turned 13 in the Hebrew culture, they were not allowed to even read this book. Because this book is all about falling in love and awakening love and swooning over that special someone. And what does it look like to formulate and foster a healthy relationship. And so that's what this whole book is about. And that's what this whole series is about. And I assure you, this is not just for people who are married and who are currently in relationships. These are words of wisdom for how to start a relationship, how to build a relationship, and how to strengthen a relationship. And here's the thing. I feel like, and if I'm going to do some generalization today, so just give me a little bit of breathing room here. But I do feel like, a lot of time women prepare for marriage way before guys do. I feel like even my daughters, right? My youngest daughter, she has a whole plan in her mind, and she's like, I'm going to graduate, I'm going to open a business, I'm going to do this, I'm going to have 2 dogs, and Jack and Diane, and I'm just going to have a cat named Little Diddy, and she has their whole plan played out. She's going to have these kids, and this name and that name, and my wife and I are like, well, who are you going to marry to create this whole life? And she's like, well, we'll figure that out later. But but she has this trajectory, right? And I feel like that's a female thing to plan that far ahead. I don't even know who I'm going to marry, but I know what my marriage is going to be like, right? I remember one time when I was in high school, it freaked me out. I had a friend of mine, a female friend in high school, and we were good friends, never dated or anything, but we're just good friends. And one time I went over to her house, and in her house, apparently this is the thing. She had a trunk, an actual trunk in her house, in her room, and I'm like, what's in there, and she's like, oh, let me show you. And she opens it up. Do you know what this is? Yep. A hope chest. Women, calm down. So this was a hope chest. I didn't know what a hope chest was. I'm in a high school girl's room. I'm in high school. She's in high school. We're 2 high schoolers. And she's like, yeah, look at this. And she opens up this hope chest, and it's all stuff for her marriage and her life. There's dishes and silverware and linen. And I'm just like, why are you this far ahead? Why are you planning this much? I was like, miss me with all that, you were doing something and you're ready, she had this hope chest of all this stuff. Because I think there's just something about women, they long for marriage and they're preparing for this thing. Maybe, I don't know, but that was what she was doing. And so men just don't keep that same energy, right? And but then I think about it though, and I was like, no. My entire childhood, I was planning for my marriage and for a good relationship. I just didn't use a hope chest to do it. All right. When I grew up, the way that I planned for my marriage was I used to play with fire, all right? My favorite toys growing up were Lincoln Logs and matches, all right? You just build little log cabins and burn them down, right? And stick with me here because it's going to make sense in a minute. But I did. I'm keeping it 100. I was a little firebug as a kid. Don't play with fire, children. Listen to your parents. You don't wet the bed if you do, but you will get burnt. So don't do it. But I used to play with fire as a kid. I think a lot of boys play with fire. And you watch movies, right? And you see like all this like, cool, like Indiana Jones, and they're in like this cavern or this cave, and they need a torch, and he just grabs a stick and rips his sleeve off and just wraps it around and lights it on fire, and then he's like going, right? And it's like, that's not how that works. Anyone who's serious about playing with fire, you don't just throw together a torch. A torch takes intentionality. You just wrap a cloth around the end and light it up, it's just going to burn right off. There's nothing there. You got to put fuel on it, right? You got to put some diesel. You can't put gasoline. You lose your eyebrows doing that. Found that out. And but if you put too much fuel on a torch and you're walking, it's going to drip on you, and then you're going to get burnt. I'll show you the scars later if you want to see it. And then it's like when you're playing with fire, you learn like fire is a living thing. And you don't just throw it together like they do in the movies. Oh yeah, this torch just lasts forever. No, that's not how it works. If you're going to make a good torch, it takes intentionality. Or you think about like when you go camping, right? And you're going to go make a campfire. Like there's intentionality that has to go into making a good fire. You can't just throw big giant logs on there. It'll never light. You can't just only use kindling. It'll burn up so fast, it'll be gone and done. And you can't just throw the logs in there. You actually have to like position them so like oxygen can get into it, and it could fuel it, and it can actually start feeding itself. Like there's a strategy to building this up so that it is of maximum efficiency. Agape City Church, I think that's what relationships are. So yeah, I didn't have a hope chest, but I was learning how to build a foundation that's not just kindling, but not just logs, but it's something that can ignite, and something that can grow, and something that can be filled and fueled. And I understand a little bit of what love is. So let me just ask you, when you think about your relationships, how do you build the fire in your relationships? How do you make sure that there's kindling and logs? How do you make sure that there's breathing room in your marriages so that you have like life in your love and in your homes? And if you're starting a relationship, if you're moving towards a marriage, are you intentionally doing it in a way that's going to give you the effective result? Or are we just rushing into it like videos make it look like and TV makes it look like, and going into like just hookup cultures and these type of things, and not building something with a foundation? The words we're reading today are from this book of the Bible, Song of Songs. And even though these are ancient words, these are modern principles. And this is a good wisdom for like if you're going to start a relationship that's going to be a blazing inferno, that's going to have fuel to it, that's going to that's going to actually survive, then here's some things you should probably have in your mind as you're building towards it. So that's what we're going to be reading today. That's what we're going to go through today. Last week, we got through half of chapter 1, so we're going to pick it up in verse 12 of chapter 1, and we're going to keep it pushing through the rest of the chapter and through chapter 2. But if you have your Bible with you, or if you have a Bible app in your phone, open up the Song of Songs, chapter 1, verse 12, and it picks up and it says this. While the king was at his table, my perfume spread its fragrance. My beloved is to me a sachet of myrrh resting between my breasts. My beloved is to me a cluster of henna blossoms from the vineyards of En-Gedi. So, again, this is this woman, and remember, we're reading this book, but it reads like a play. Okay, there's three main characters. There's the woman, and the maid, the bride, and then there's the man, the lover, and then there's like her friends, like the bridesmaids or friends, depending on what your translation of the Bible names them differently. But this is the woman talking, and she's like talking about her man, and she's like, and you're like, my beloved is to me like a sachet of myrrh resting between my breasts. And this is not anything risque. This is what was common in that time is, obviously, women wanted to smell nice. Everybody wants to smell nice. You should. And so women wanted to smell nice. And perfume was very expensive and very hard to come by. And so what was more common was that women would have like a little pouch of potpourri, and spices and flowers, and they would dry it up, and they put it in this whole pouch, and they'd wear it around their neck that would rest, kind of between their chest here, and that's kind of what she was saying. Like she's like, you are like this to me. You're like a sachet of myrrh, like you're a cluster of henna in the blossoms of the vineyard of En-Gedi. You get this idea, like, okay, you're like a cluster of henna in the vineyards of En-Gedi. Okay, just so we're painting an accurate picture, En-Gedi is a real place. It's a city on the coast of the Dead Sea. It's this little oasis that sits between two sides of a canyon. Okay, so there's two canyons, or two cliffs. There's two big cliffs, and there's a canyon in between of oasis, and that's Engedi. So if you picking it up? Okay. So she's like, when you're resting like on me, the smell of your head, it's like myrrh, it's like henna, it's like just your embrace and being close to me. Like I feel like peace when I'm holding you and you're in my arms and you're pressed against, my bosoms, but it's not like erotic. It's like, it's closeness. And can you see this? Like, he's saying, like, just being close to me, this smells so good. And it feels so good to hold you close. Agape City Church, if we're going to be talking about, moving towards building a relationship and building a relationship that will last, you got to realize that that's part of this. Like, you need to aspire to be peace for your spouse. You should be a place of safety, a place of comfort. When you were a child, and maybe even like in middle school or high school, you probably had a moment where you were upset. Maybe you were stressed out about something in life. Maybe something happened. You had a bad breakup, or I don't know what it was. But when you were a child, you've had moments where you were upset, and either one of your parents, a father or a mother, you probably had this experience where your parent held you. Just held you while you just fell apart. Just held you while you cried. Just held you while your nervous system was just, shaking inside of your body. And they just held you, and you were pressed up against your parent, and that was peace. And just to feel someone hold you, like that gave you peace. What breaks my heart is, for some reason, as we get older, like, people stop doing that. We stop comforting one another. We stop holding one another. Not for the sake of progressing forward to any more, just to hold someone, to let them feel their nervous system calm down as you hold them close to you. What she is saying, like, when I hold you, your fragrance, it's comforting, and it's like peace holding you. We need to be peace for our spouse. How are you creating an environment of peace? When your spouse is, going through stress, can you pull them in and hold them and let them know that they're loved? It goes on, verse 15. It says this: how beautiful you are, my darling. Now, this is him talking. Keep in mind when you're reading your Bible, it switches back and forth a lot. How beautiful you are, my darling. Oh, how beautiful your eyes are doves. Okay, well, he started off calling her a horse. So this is progress, right? Like, this is like, doves are better, I don't know why doves are like the love bird. I don't know why that's the one we go to all the time. This week I was driving the car somewhere, and I put on Prince for my daughter. I'm like, you should hear the song. And we're listening to like When Doves Cry, and then it just dawns on me, I don't understand what this means at all. Like, this is what it sounds like when doves cry. I'm like, I don't know what that means. But he's complimenting her, and her eyes are like dove, and he's just saying these beautiful words over her. It goes on, verse 16. It says, how handsome you are. Now, this is her talking back to him. How handsome you are, my beloved. Oh, how charming. And our bed is verdant. And basically what she's saying is, sometimes we read the Bible and we see words like that, like verdant, and we don't use that word in a day-to-day life, and so we just skip over it. Like, you don't have to skip over these things, right? You could lean in and like, what does this mean? Or what's the actual Hebrew word here? I use an app called blueletterbible.org. That's a pro tip, man. If you've never been on that website, you should check it out. It's awesome. But the word verdant here, it just means luscious. It means, it is like that scene of an oasis. It's like green. It's like fresh. He's just saying this, our love is fresh. What we're creating is fresh. And like, this is good. But and notice what she says to him. How handsome you are, my beloved. How charming. His appearance, his character, and then our bed is verdant, what they're creating together. She is speaking life into her beloved, into this man. And that's what I would encourage us. Let me talk to the ladies just for a minute. Guys, you're going to get yours in a minute. Ladies, are you speaking life into your men? Are you speaking life into them, encouraging them? Are you articulating what you appreciate about them? And I think if we're going to be serious about building, relationships that are going to be like fires that are healthy, like, I think you need to realize this matters. that you're speaking life into your spouse. Now, I'm going to give you a pro tip, and if you don't if you don't think it's true, throw it away. But I'm telling you, this is true. Okay, men tend to be motivated by esteem. Right, we tend to be motivated by ego. They're not all men are egotistical, but the things that tend to sound good to a man, tend to be ego type things, not so much security type things. So I say all that to say this: if you're trying to speak life to your man, you want to encourage your man, you are welcome to say I love you. I've never been offended by someone telling me I love you. So you can say that. Okay, I'm just telling you, it hits different when you say, I respect you. There's just something about a guy. When my wife's she's like, I love you. I'm like, yeah, I'm lovable. I don't know. But when she's like, Brad, I respect how your character. I respect how hard you work for our family. I respect that you take time to be with our daughters and that you're speaking truth. I just respect what you do around the house. I really respect how much you are how good you are. That just feels better. It just feels better as a man. And so I'm encouraging, as you're speaking life to your spouse, man, lean into some of that respect language and call out some of the things that you respect about their character and their sacrifice and what they're doing. Test me on it and see. That just feels good to a man. Now, some of you ladies are like, yeah, but he doesn't do any of those things. I would love to tell him I respect him, but he's not respectable at all, right? Okay, here's the adage, right? What gets rewarded gets repeated. What gets rewarded gets repeated. If you want to, bring out the best in your husband or your mother, speak life and catch him doing anything good. Catch him doing anything good. Reward it so it gets repeated. I think my wife totally Jedi mind tricked me in this, right? Because there's one day I was just I was just helping out, but I wasn't whatever, and I get my hands in there. I'm just doing some dishes. Let me just get these dishes for you, whatever. And my wife just baby, just seeing you do those dishes and just the way that you sacrifice for our family and to come home from a hard day's work and get your hands in those bubbles. She's like, I just really respect you. I'm like, I will do dishes every day of my life. I'm getting clean dishes out just to rewash them. Just you see what I'm doing here? What gets rewarded gets repeated. Catch them doing anything good. Speak life into that. And for some reason, men tend to love words of ego and words of self-esteem. That tends to resonate well with us. So she's speaking life into him. I encourage you, speak life into your spouse. It goes on then, verse 17. It says this is him talking, and it's talking about what they're building. And he says, the beams of our house are cedars, our rafters are firs. The foundation of what we're building is good. The foundation of what we're building is solid. This relationship's not just built on an algorithm. This relationship's not just built on just attraction. This relationship's not just built on, emotion. No. We're building something that is solid. Your character, your future, my future, our love at a pace that is righteous. We are building something that is so good. And you see this kind of coming together and culminating. Now, that's the last verse of chapter 1. And we're going to now go into chapter 2. But for those of you who've been to Agape City for a while, you know, right? The chapter breaks are not real. We put chapter breaks in and we put Bible verses in later just so we can reference where we are in the Bible. But all of these books were written as one single scroll. They're written as one thought. How chapter 1 ends and goes into 2, this is still probably the same, scenario. So he's just saying, what we're building is great. And then it goes into the very next chapter 2, verse 1. And then she, again, with the self-deprecating language, she goes, but I'm just a rose of Sharon, a lily of the valleys. And I don't know anything about flowers. I had to Google, what is a rose of Sharon? I don't know. Turns out, it's just hibiscus. It's just a common field flower. It's just an ordinary flower that you see on the side of a road, on the side of a trail. It's an ordinary field flower. That's what she's saying. She's saying, I'm common. I'm just hibiscus. I'm not a real rose. I'm not a rose of Sharon. I'm just a hibiscus. I'm a lily among valleys. The valley's just filled with lilies. I'm one of 1,000. And she's just really kind of downplaying herself yet again. But then watch what he does. he speaks life into his love. And he tells her, he says, no, you're not like a lily of the valleys. Like a lily among thorns is my darling. Like my darling among the young women. Like you're not a lily among other lilies. These women are thorns compared to you. Like I see you and only you. You stand out above everyone else. Like you are the one for me. And you see him like speaking this over her and inviting her into this. And we have to get this kind of language. Like, guys, we have to let our women know how we see them and that they are special. And that we're speaking life into them as well. In fact, look how she responds to this. She loves this. She says, like an apple tree among the trees of the forest is my beloved among the young men. I delight to sit in his shade, and his fruit is sweet to my taste. Basically, we live in a day and age, like if you're hungry, you just go get food, right? Like I'm a little bit hungry, I'm gonna go to Taco Bell. Like back then, like food is hard to come by and it's time consuming. And she's like, but when I'm around you, you're like an apple tree. Like you have unending nourishment for me. I start to feel bad about myself, and you give to me these words of life, and you give this nourishment to me. You give me something that's sweet like an apple, something that's nourishing like an apple. Then it's like unending. I sit in your shade and I just feel more alive being around you. Husbands, this is the type of environment we should be creating for our brides. Single people, this is who we should be inspiring to find someone that speaks life into you. And then this is our part where we have to speak life into our women. You're not like other women. You're set apart in my mind, and I love you and only you, and I think about you and only you. And women, like I gotta believe if that was more prevalent in your life, I think it'd be easier for you to believe. And then two, I think you would stop, I think you would realize that your worth is not just in your looks. A lot of times, like, I see women, like single women and young women, like trying to get ready to get married or whatever, doing the most, right? They're trying to I gotta get a guy. And so like, they're like, shooting botulism in their face and ripping out eyelashes and they're doing like all this stuff because they want to look presentable. And by all means, please do look presentable. But ladies, let me just make this suggestion to you. I'm just going to make this suggestion to you, and you just do with it what you want, okay? I don't know that guys notice all of that, okay? And I only say that because of this. I am 45 years old, and I have never, not once, ever noticed a woman's eyelashes. Ever. Never. Unless they're 4 feet long. What are we doing? Like, you going for a kiss, like pokes your eye, like, oh my goodness. But here he's speaking, you're truly beautiful. Not because you're doing the most, you're beautiful because your character, because you're one of a kind, you're one of one. You're like a lily among thorns. I don't even see other women, I just see you. And it's not just physical. What we have is, I don't even want anybody else. You are my soulmate. You are my completion. You are the other half of my brain and my heart. You are my everything. And to verbalize that and speak that over your bride so she can have no insecurities and know that she is cherished and loved by you. This is the environment that we should be creating. This is the environment that fosters and fuels love. So she's speaking life into him. He's speaking life into her. They're swooning over one another. They're falling in love with one another. And this is so good. It goes on, verse 4. And he says, and then she says, well, let him lead me to the banquet hall, and let his banner over me be loved. If you were raised in the church, or if you went through the church in the late 90s, early 2000s, you remember that worship song? His banner over me is love. Anyway, this is actually betrothal language. This is actually engagement language. To take someone's banner over you, this connotates like when soldiers go into battle and they would carry the standard or the banner of their king. We belong to him. We are his. And she's basically saying, I want to take your banner over me. I want your banner over me to be loved. I want to take on your name. I want to take on you into my life. Like, I want your banner. You bring me to your banqueting table, and I'm ready for your banner to be over me and for this to be our love. So it's growing, it's blossoming, and it's building. It goes on, verse 5 and 6. He says, strengthen me with raisins, refresh me with apples, for I am faint with love. His left arm is under my head, and his right arm embraces me. Yeah? Solomon, you saucy minx, right? But this is them. They're swooning over each other. They're swooning over each other. She's like, you strengthen me with raisins, and raisins that, they're an aphrodisiac at that time. And so basically, you're making me feel something. You're making me feel butterflies in my belly. You're making me feel close to you. I'm swooning over you, and you hold me, and basically, this is them just letting all their emotions go towards one another, right? She's just busting out, and you belong with me. And he's all like, your body is a wonderland, and they are just falling in romantic love with each other, right? And Agape City Church, I think this is okay for us to do, but I think we have to be aware when it's happening. And I think we need to be aware of this next part, the pace in which it happens. Look at the very next verse. They're swooning over each other. This is getting euphoric now. And then she, and being swept up in all of this, she starts talking to her friends, right? Look what she says. Daughters of Jerusalem, this lady says with her, I charge you by the gazelles and by the does of the field, do not arouse or awaken love until it sows desires. Basically, she's saying, it's hard for me to pace myself. I just want to be with you. I want to be with you now. I want us to be one. I want us to be fully married. I'm ready for this now. And she's like, hey, ladies, let me just tell you, don't arouse love until it's ready. Don't awaken love until it's ready. You want this. You want the real thing. You don't want to have something manufactured and something fake. I'm telling you, you want this experience. But don't awaken love until it's ready. Agape City Church, I think this is still the same playbook. I think this is what every woman wants. I think this is what every man wants. I think this is what we want to experience in a good relationship. We want this connection. We want this attraction. We want the tension of trying to be self-controlled, but also be growing together. And I'm telling you, the way that this is designed is to culminate on a wedding night. This is the pace that is healthy. And so I'm challenging you. I think you can dictate if it's faster or slower, but I think you need to find a pace that is righteous as you are growing in your relationships. I don't want to embarrass anybody, but I do want to speak to this. And I'm intentional about this with the way I even I parent and the way I've talked to my children. I think the optimum playbook that you see in the Song of Songs, that you see in all throughout Scripture, that is God's will, is to be celibate until married and monogamous in marriage. And now you're like, Brad just stepped out of the 1800s. But I'm telling you, psychology agrees with me. What is happening in our culture with hookup culture and people, jumping into bed before they know people's middle names is damaging hearts and souls. Please understand, you cannot practice intimacy. That is an oxymoron. The more you practice intimacy, you're giving away the ability to be intimate to one person. And the more that you do that, you will start to believe yourself to be unworthy of being intimate. And then you'll start to live a lifestyle that is not your character. It's a flawed belief that you have taken on because you believe yourself to be usable. At some point, we got to take ownership of this, and we got to put ourselves on a pace that is righteous. If I know that the end goal, that this relationship, it culminates in marriage, and in marriage is the full physical expression of love, it happens there in marriage, then I need to pace myself that's where that culminates. And then here's the true. Wherever you leave off on a date, tell me if I'm wrong. That's exactly where you'll pick up the next date. Wherever you stop physically, the next time you get together, that's probably where you'll start. I never held her hand. We go on a couple days. I haven't held her hand, and then finally I had to break up the nerves, and I'm holding hands, and like you hold hands. And the next time you pick her up to go on a date, let's go on a date. And you say, boom, you just immediately start holding hands. It's so easy to jump right to that. Now it's like, are we gonna kiss? Are we gonna kiss? And then you finally have that first kiss. It's like, yeah. And then the next time you meet, you're gonna immediately start with a kiss. And then where does it go? Pace yourself appropriately. It culminates in marriage, so put yourself on a pace for success. Now, you could dictate, we need to go faster, right? Like my wife and I, we dated 6 months. We were engaged 8 months. I was sure. I love her. She's the one. I want nobody else. She is the one. And we're going to do this in a righteous way, in a healthy way. And so we're going to within a year, we met, fell in love, and we're married within a year and a couple months. That was our pace to be righteous, and that was our pace to set ourselves up for the best marriage. Now, my daughter's not allowed to do that. She has to date for 15 years, and that's fine. No, but at the time, it didn't feel fast to us. It felt honoring to God because we weren't tempted to do something outside of marriage that we're supposed to be doing in marriage. So we put ourselves on a pace because I love her. And I'm telling you, you got to think this way and put yourself on a righteous pace if you want God to bless your relationship. And so this is what I would encourage you. Now some people, we've been dating for 5 years and we're good and we're on a good pace. And God bless you, yes. Like you dictate the pace, but I think you have to be aware of righteousness in that. And the goal is to culminate in marriage, not outside of marriage. And that's why I think in 1 Corinthians, it says, sexual sin, it's different than any other sin, because a lot of other sins like you're doing, like it's outside of your body, but this is like in your body. And it affects your psyche, it affects your self-esteem. It just really affects you when you allow yourself to be used and you think that you're not worthy of being loved. And these are devil games. This is what I'm telling. Like no judgment, but like what society is pushing with algorithms and hookups and these types of things. This is fool's errand that lead to pain and destruction, to heartache, to disease. And it looks fun in music videos, I guess, but it just leaves a trail of bodies behind it. And then we say, well, be monogamous be celibate until married, and monogamous in marriage. And people go, no one does that. I do. I did. Who else can start telling that story? Who else can inspire their children that way? Show them a better life. Show them a better love. Show them a better marriage. What blows my mind is we have parents telling kids, go out there and experiment. Go out there and try some things out. You don't want to like disappoint your spouse later on, so just go live it up. What are you saying? Oh, go on this website and it's okay, just be curious. What are you doing? We're feeding children to demons. No, you are beautiful and you are worthy of not just a physical experience. You're worthy of love, to be known and to know another, to be betrothed, to have someone rest their head. Like you deserve all of what is the fullness of physical expression of love, not a hookup. And so at some point, we have to start championing and start telling the story of what love really looks like. And I love that it says this, that at its appropriate pace. Put yourself at a pace. And I'll say this as well. I usually tell the ladies this. It probably could apply both ways, but I'll tell the ladies this. If you set a boundary, if you want to know if a guy loves you, if you want to know, does he like me? Does he love me? Okay, I'll tell you how to know. Set a boundary. Whatever it is, it's your boundary. You pick one. Hey, I don't kiss until date 24. Whatever it is, you set a boundary. I don't hold hands. Hey, I don't let you come back to my house. Like whatever your boundary is, set a boundary, right? Now watch. If he starts trying to push past that boundary, come on. He doesn't love you. He wants something from you. If he loved you, he would respect your boundary. So we need to start building relationships, not jumping into beds. And we need to show this to a generation so that they're not being fed to wolves and damaging their psyche and their minds and bodies by doing these things. Goes on, verse 8 and 9. He says, listen, my beloved, look, here he comes, leaping across the mountains, bounding over the hills. My beloved is like a gazelle or a young stag. Look, there he stands behind our wall, gazing through the windows, peering through the lattice. Basically, every time he comes over, can't wait. She sees him far off. She can't wait till he gets there. Every time he says, I'm coming home, like her text back is always exuberant. Yes, I can't wait for you to be here. I can't wait to be around you again. I love you. And so we just see this like excitement in their life. It goes on, verse 10 to 13. It says, my beloved spoke and said to me, arise, my darling, my beautiful one, come with me. See, the winter is past. The rains are over and gone. Flowers appeared on the earth, and the seasons of singing has come to the cooing of doves is heard in our land. The fig tree forms its early fruit, and the blossoming vines spread their fragrance. Arise, come, my darling, my beautiful one, come with me. Solomon is like, before I knew you, my life was perpetual winter. It was always winter. Those of us who live in Michigan, we get it, right? He's like, but you've brought spring. And not just like you brought like late spring. We're through the rain. We're through the storms. Like we're through the birth, and we're to the life, and we're to beauty, and we're to sun. And you in my life is like a breath of fresh air. And again, they're just speaking that into one another. Goes on verse 14. And then he says again, the dove language again, my dove in the clefts of the rock and the hiding places on the mountains, show me your face. Let me hear your voice, for your voice is sweet and your face is lovely. It's not just you look good, you say good things to me, and like we're building into one another. I'm building you up, you're building me up, and we are building something together. Let me say this real quick. I feel like maybe human beings are closed systems. By that I mean this. My wife tells me she loves me. I feel that. Why? Most people assume that we're deficient, that I am missing something in my life. I got broken in some way in my past or childhood, and I'm deficient in some areas of my life. And then people believe that I need someone else outside of me to pour love into me and to give love to me to fill up where I'm deficient so that I can actually be and experience love. And that's what most people think is happening. They think a relationship is I pour love into you and you pour love into me, and as long as we do it both at the same pace, then we both get healthier, and that's the way it goes. I don't think that's what's happening, okay? I think Jerry Maguire was wrong. I don't think my wife completes me. I think my relationship with Jesus Christ completes me. I think I'm a whole man, fully and completely loved by the living God, and all the love that I need is inside of me. I'm deficient of nothing. But I don't feel all the love that is already in me. Why don't I feel it? Because I believe a lie. I believe and I'm not going to tell you, but I know my flaws, and I believe those are so true of me that no one would love me because I have troubles loving myself sometimes. But then this woman, she says these words to me. I see the way you work hard for our family. I see the way you sacrifice. I see the way that your character is intact. I see you're the same man on stage on Sunday and walking the street on Wednesday. I just respect you so much. And she says these words, and I feel them. I feel them in me. Well, if nothing is leaving her and coming into me, why does her saying these words make me feel love? I think because it causes me to believe. I think she says things that make me believe I am a good man, and I am trying, and I am doing these things. And she speaks these words of life that is unlocking love that's already in me. She's not pouring love into me. She's just speaking truth that's unlocking these truth that's in me. And I think I do that for her, and I think that is what's happening. You are complete because of your relationship with Jesus Christ. A person just sometimes helps you stop believing the lies that you're just ordinary and you're just whatever, that you are a lily among thorns, that you are, fearfully and wonderfully made, that you are respectable, that you are like valuable to another human being on this planet. And then when you build a family together, then that just expounds upon itself. And then all of a sudden, it's not that that's where like you should only get your self-esteem from, but it's a source of self-esteem. And it reminds you that God sees you and has you on a path. And so I just encourage you, speak life into one another and build into each other. Here's the last verse I'm going to leave you with today. It's the end of chapter 2, and this is the wisdom that Solomon gives. Catch for us the foxes, the little foxes that ruin the vineyards, our vineyards that are in bloom. Okay. We're trying to foster love. We're trying to build love. And it's like this vineyard, right? But the foxes, right? These are scavenger animals. And they're coming in, they're picking all the grapes off the vine. They're ruining it. They're ruining the marriage. So we got to catch these foxes and get them out of our vineyard, get them out of our field. And what he's saying is you got to be aware of this. So Agape City Church, for those of you who are in marriages, or for those who are starting relationships and building towards a marriage, what are the foxes in your relationship? What are the foxes in your marriage? Are you aware of them? Are you aware of how they're damaging your love, how they're damaging your marriage? And are you catching them and are you getting them out of your marriage? I think about my wife and I, as we grew in our love, there's little foxes that we had to catch. I remember one, early on in our marriage, I waited tables in Cincinnati. I was still in college. I was waiting tables. She was already graduated. She had a real job. And I remember there's another server at the restaurant, and it was a female, and she got me a present. She got me like a little journal book thing or whatever. And I didn't even think anything of it. I don't care. I don't journal. So I'm just like, wonderful, whatever. And so I went home, and I'm like, hey, yeah, so-and-so got me this little book journal thing, whatever. And then my wife was like, who? And I'm like, so-and-so. And she goes, give that back to her. I'm like, but it didn't mean anything to me, but it was like she saw that as a fox, right? She saw that as that could be something that's going to get into our relationship. And so and we talked about it, and I don't want you to feel anything. So yeah, absolutely, I'll give it. It's not a big thing, And little, I don't know, little thing. Like my wife one time, hey Brad, when you bite your fingernails, it's disgusting. If you care, you just this catch the fox, throw it out. I love to kiss you, but I don't want to kiss you if your gross fingernails is in your teeth, right? And so we talk about what are these little things. Now our relationship, my wife and I, we know we need time together. We have a lot of responsibility. There's people who like us in their life or me in their life. I have to go to funerals and weddings, and we have children, and we're running to concerts and performances and games but we know if we've been going for a week or two and we have not had time for her and I just to sit in the hot tub together and just talk, if we have not time to get away and go on a date, if we have not time to just really connect, we know that's not good for us. So we got to catch that fox. We got to catch that fox and say, no, girls, mom and dad, here's a frozen pizza, here's some dino nuggets, whatever you survive, okay? We're going out. Just the two of us. We need quality time together. We need to just talk to one another. We need to swoon over one another. We need to catch that fox of busyness, because that will kill our marriage. We know that. And we need some passion, and we need to allow space for that to happen. And so whatever that looks like for you, but what are the foxes in your marriage? Catch them. Catch them early. Get them out. So that way you can have a healthy relationship. This is what true love looks like. And this is like relationship love for you and I, but all this is just a shadow of God's love for us. This agape love, this unconditional love. And in fact, what the Apostle Paul is going to say in the book of Ephesians is that's what marriages are. Marriages are these little mysteries because it's just a physical example of God's unconditional love for us. I am not blood related to my wife at all, but I love her to the point where she is me and I am her, and I would die for her and vice versa. And all I want is to make her life better, more peaceful. I want to give her more strength and power and support. And I want her to aspire to her dreams in alignment with the will of God. And she wants the same thing for me. And we're helping each other, and we're living this out with one another, all because we made a covenant with God. And I'm saying all that to say this, God made a covenant with us. He says, never will I leave you and never will I forsake you. He says, I will love you, and I want you to believe that you're worthy of love. He says, I want you to aspire to the goals that I built into you to have, and I want you to reach them. The way we love our spouses is just a little physical example of the way God loves us. So let's strive to have healthier marriages. so we can show this world that there's real God in heaven who is love. And he is pouring his love over all of us. So here's what we're going to do right now. We're going to enter a response time. This is your time just to respond to the love of God and for you to think about how can you best love your boyfriend, your spouse, and build a future that is honoring to him.